listening to the Pohu Experience.
Yo, so I haven't disappeared. I know it's been like 3 weeks since the last podcast episode, and full disclosure, I had a full episode already recorded, just not cut up at all. To be totally honest, it's just because of all the games that I've been playing. There's just so many games that released in the past couple of weeks, Diablo 4 being one of them, but I'm actually not playing it anymore. I'll explain more later on. Also on top of the gacha games that I've been really grinding out till where I'm basically stuck in both of them now, and it feels like this relief where I've chased everything I want to chase in the past 2-3 weeks and I'm back in breathing mode. And so I'm not actually 100% happy with the last episode because I felt I only made it because I was trying to hit a schedule rather than trying to make a good podcast episode, if that makes sense. So there are going to be segments there that I will include in this episode, such as the Q&As at the end, and also I did a KFC calorie review. I think that was really good, but there was other stuff in the last episode which was just fluff. We're going to completely skip over that, and I really want to apologize for the lack of consistent updates. I'm trying my hardest to get this on a once a week basis as much as possible, but currently I'm just juggling a lot of things, and I feel rather than getting completely burned out, I'll take the delay a little bit. There is one thing I do really want to talk about this episode, and it's that new food scale that I got. I got it yesterday, arrived in my doorstep yesterday. It is the Greater Goods Nutrition Food Scale. Now you could Google that or go to Amazon.com and check it out. It's that really fancy food scale that has nutrition facts and it looks like a food label on the side. And I thought, well, that looks really interesting. Actually, I have already seen this floating around like years ago, right? I just never really had a reason to go get it because I felt the system I had using my MyFitnessPal and a normal scale was totally fine. But since it popped up the last couple of weeks, I just got kind of interested. Like I went and bought this with the intention of purely reviewing it and not using it because I'm really happy with the system I have down. I don't know if I really want to learn a new system unless of course it comes as a really big surprise and it really ups my quality of life with calorie counting. Then yeah, of course, then I'll switch to it. But I have had this for maybe 24 hours or less. I've played around with it and I gotta be super honest. Let's start with the good things, right? Good things is out of the box, it looks really well made. It's not some cheap scale. This really feels like some work was put into it. When I got it from Amazon, it was like $44.88, not including shipping, and that's in US dollars. So I'm not gonna talk about shipping because that's depending on where you are, that's gonna differ. Being in Taiwan, I usually have to pay a little bit more, which I don't mind as long as I can access the products, but that's beyond the point. So 44.88, let's just say $45 for this scale. Is it on the expensive side? 100% yes. Like the scale that I have, I got here locally and it's a more upscale one because it measures to the 0.1 grams and measures all the way up to 5 kilograms. That was like 25 USD and this is 45. So I could buy two of my old scales for this Greater Goods Nutrition Food Scale. Of course, this nutrition food scale has a lot more functions. It feels like a scientific calculator versus like a normal calculator. I really thought I was in for a surprise, right? Like, well, maybe technology has gone a little bit further over the past couple of years. I've never really kept up with it. I started using my MyFitnessPal during its very early days, like even before it had the barcode function. Like, I don't think I figured out the barcode function until like 1 year in, and I think it was somewhere in there they made an update and included it. That's how early I've been using my MyFitnessPal. And back then it was like with my MyFitnessPal and any kind of food scale, it works. It works perfectly. It's not that much work. Once you get used to it, it's just a little workflow that you do when you're eating food. And till this day, I really enjoy it. Just that I don't use my MyFitnessPal anymore. I'm using Carbon app. You know that story already. So good stuff with this Greater Goods Nutrition Food Scale is it's really well made. It looks really pristine. Like I would maybe just put it on a shelf or on the side of a table as decoration. Like it's that kind of like pristine. It looks good. It looks well made. It feels well made. It has a weight to it. It's thin, but not that thin. It's not something I'd say is friendly to bring around with you because my usual scale that I use is literally half the size. So that one I bring around wherever I go. This one, if I had a scale this size that I was using on a daily basis, I'd probably leave at home and look for a smaller scale. Beyond how good it looks, beyond its build quality, I don't really have anything good to say about it. And I know it's not so fair. I've only had it for 24 hours. I haven't measured too many things on it, but it's just that the way it's made, it makes me feel like I don't want to use it. I guess I had to buy this to know. And full disclosure too, I saw some people using this. I went online, saw that it was available on Amazon, and I just got it. I did zero research on this. I just saw there was a lot of reviews, like over 10,000 reviews, and it was like 4 point something stars. It looked like a good product. And I saw a lot of this is from one of the fitness groups that I'm a part of on Facebook groups. I think somebody posted theirs, and then a lot of others tagged along, was like, hey, I have one too. And I was like, oh, I didn't know so many people used it. I wonder what it's like. So it just impulsively bought it. Oh, of course, I asked you guys first, right? I asked you guys on IG, like, would you want a review on it? And I went ahead and ordered it. And so why? Why do I not really like this scale? Well, first off, for it to detect any kind of food that you're putting in, it has this food code thing at the very top where there's like a booklet, like a literal, almost like dictionary thing that it comes with this scale. And in it is like all kinds of numbers. It's called the food code booklet. For example, I want to weigh tomatoes, right? So I got to open this book. It has a table of contents. While I was doing this myself, I kept thinking tomatoes was a fruit. Apparently not. Tomatoes is a vegetable. So I was about to rage quit because I was like, I'm looking in fruits. I can't find tomatoes. Like, what is this? So I bought the scale. The booklet doesn't even have the most basic food. Like, well, what am I doing? But of course, then at the end of the day, it was my fault. So I'll take responsibility. I'm sorry for almost rage quitting. Flipping over to vegetable section. See, right now I am currently flipping through it page by page. I feel like I'm in middle school. I'm like 12, 13 years old in the library again. I don't know the last time I was in a library. But here, see, I found tomatoes, and they have all kinds of tomatoes. They have tomato products, canned. They have tomato red ripe, tomato juice. Okay, I just want tomatoes red and ripe. Oh, sorry, there's actually a tomato raw. So I'll use that. And then there's a food code 0247. Once I've opened the book, I've located tomatoes, and I figured out it's 0247. I got to put 0247 into the scale. And once you do that, it displays the calories, the fats, the saturated fats, cholesterol, sodium, all that jazz. Of course, also with the weight. Now, why this thing by itself is just a complete turnoff for me? Because even after I figured that out, right? I figured all the nutrition values there, I still got to jot it down somewhere. So I got to get the booklet, find the code, weigh the food, and then translate that into MyFitnessPal or pen and paper or Microsoft Word or whatever note-taking thing that I'm using, which basically means I could skip all of those steps by directly using a normal scale and MyFitnessPal, because if I weigh something on a normal scale and I enter it into MyFitnessPal, it is automatically tracking. I don't have to double track. I don't have to put that data into another thing. MyFitnessPal itself is a tracker. And I thought I had it backwards, right? I thought, okay, there's gotta be something I'm missing here. Maybe this has a Bluetooth function where there's an app that you could download. It helps you track like that. So it's basically a calorie tracker. And if you put in the 0247 into the scale, you weigh it, it automatically translates to the app so you don't have to double track. Kind of like a smart scale, right? The scale that I'm using currently, that I've been using for maybe 3 to 4 years. There's an app that comes with it. Every morning I turn on the app, I step on the scale, and that's it. My weight for that day is recorded. I don't need to pen and paper or go into any other app to track my weight. It is kind of convenient. It's not that necessary. It's very luxury, but I thought this is what the Greater Goods Nutrition Food Scale is. It's a luxury. You don't really need a scale like this, but it's not. And of course, the food code booklet also states in front that there's a food code app that you could download. Now, I typed in food code app into the app store, got nothing. I typed food code, got nothing. I had to go in and type Greater Goods food code app for it to finally pop up. And when I saw it, it was a 1-star review app. And I kind of looked at it. I didn't want to download it because I don't really like bloating my phone. Like if the app is pointless, I'm not going to get it. Not even for the sake of this review, because this review was supposed to be fun. And immediately this thing's already frustrating me. It's like, why are you making such a product? Like, I think you completely missed the point. This is not better than a normal scale. A scale at the wet market, those manual scales that work on a clock interface, those work better than this because this makes you double track, and that's just wasting time. I was thinking that the app had a tracking function. It doesn't. And so all we're doing with this food scale is, I mean, for a lack of better words, you're just wasting time. Like, you could save so much time by using an app like MyFitnessPal, and MyFitnessPal is free. And so it got me thinking, so then what is this scale for? I guess for people that aren't really into calorie tracking for whatever reason, this could, in some shape or form, make the concept easier for people that are more technologically or digitally challenged. Like, okay, my mom, right? My mom, she's in her 60s. She is very anti-technology. I grew up with technology. We had a computer at home, and until this day, my mom does not know how to use the mouse. Like, she doesn't know how to aim the mouse. Until this day, my mom does not have a smartphone. To reach her, I have to call my dad that has a smartphone, or I have to call a landline. That's right. I have to call a landline to reach my mom. She does not watch YouTube. She still watches cable TV. So for somebody like her, which I guess there is a population of people like her, I guess this food scale is good. Because, I mean, she doesn't have to deal with technology. Everything is in a booklet, which is actually something she prefers. She's still somebody that jots down phone numbers and all that in her little notebook. And so this notebook of all these food codes would be useful to her, would probably be something she treasures because she's so anti-modern technology. But then other than that, then I was thinking, who is this really for? It's a luxury item. It looks good. But it's not really a flex, right? It's just like a cool gadget, but the gadget isn't really that useful for my own habits and my own experiences with calorie counting. I just can't find a use for this. Like, if I do end up using this scale, I will use it as a normal scale. I will completely ignore all the food codes, and I will just, because you can turn this on and use it as a normal scale, it will just tell you how many grams whatever you're putting on it is, but then all the other stuff, it's not going to show you calories and all that stuff. And then that would be the extent that I use it. And so as I thought about it, I realized that this scale has been out for a while, but definitely not older than my MyFitnessPal. I haven't fact checked this, but I'm pretty sure, because all the reviews that I'm looking at it on YouTube after the fact, right? I started looking up YouTube to make sure I'm not missing out on anything. But most of the reviews I'm looking at, the oldest was like 6 years ago. Now, 6 years ago, my MyFitnessPal was definitely around. Like, I've been using my MyFitnessPal since 2015. This is definitely not older. And I bring up that point because if this scale existed before my MyFitnessPal, it's a godsend. It's an absolute godsend. This is like the best product ever, because before my MyFitnessPal, there was really no way to track your food. At least there was no systematic way, which a lot of times I think back on my weight loss journey, and I do a lot of reflecting. I do a lot of thinking back on my journey and what things that I could improve on, and why didn't I? And the answer that I had to that question was, like, I started calorie counting at the early stage where phone apps started to become a thing. Because before the Apple iPhone or before the normal Androids that we see on a day-to-day basis, phones weren't flexible. Before the Androids and the iPhones, you had the Blackberries. Blackberry, everybody was using it for Blackberry Messenger. It wasn't really like an app thing. I'm sure there's a lot of functions that I'm missing out on, but it just wasn't as common. And before that, you had the Motorola's. The Motorola's is for you to play Snake, right? There's nothing there. So it wasn't until like much later. I understand 2015 is a bit late. I could have started my journey maybe in the early 2010s or, 2008, 2009. You know what? Let me check it up. Let me check it up right now. Okay, so MyFitnessPal started in 2005. 2005, I did not have an iPhone. I think I switched to iPhone in like post 2010, maybe 2011, 2012. Before that, I was some random Android, Blackberry. Phone to me was SMS function, MMS function, and literal phone. Like, that was it. But in any case, I think anywhere between like 2005 and 2015, this scale would have been amazing. It would be 100% worth the $45 price tag. But it's just for today, I think it's so outdated. I feel like I'm looking at a museum item almost. This could go into the Museum of Technology. This is the BlackBerry before the iPhone came out. This is the TI-83 or TI-82 scientific calculator that you could program games and spell boobies on it before now that, we have ChatGPT and AI doing all this computing for us. So do I recommend this scale? Let's put it this way. The scale is not completely useless. I think the scale is also a great decorative piece. Like, if you put it in your kitchen, it looks cool. People come over, they're like, what the hell is that? So, oh yeah, this is what I use to track calories. It's cool like that. Obviously not needed, obviously just fun, but also the price at $45, I would say with the build quality, it feels like it could last a long time. My other scale that I'm using, I've been using it since 2015. It's 2023 now. It hasn't skipped a beat. I've changed batteries twice. And I believe this build is probably better. I'm hoping it's better. So if you do do buy this scale, you do have a scale for life. So $45 for a fancy looking scale that you could show off to your friends to for life, I would say is worth it. Not a necessity, but it's worth it. But beyond that, I mean, you could use any scale. Really, you don't need to fork out a $45 for this. Let's check on Amazon. Let's check on Amazon right now. I'm going to check on Amazon right now and see what's the cheapest food scale we can find. All right, so over here, it is on average $9, $12, $9, $10, $21. Yeah, okay, roughly that range, right? So a food scale, and we're talking about digital food scales, right? I'm sure if you go to your local market, you can find some scale for even way cheaper. But a digital scale, you're looking at a price tag of $9 to $20, and that's already very decent. That's already all you need for calorie counting. Because remember, we're still looking at calorie counting, right? Calorie counting is the main thing, and if that's what you need, any normal scale will be able to do it. And so this scale is really not a necessity. It's just it's so fancy. It looks good. I promise you, I won't throw this away. I won't give this away. I want to keep it. I think it's a nice item to have at home. I mean, me being somebody that counts calories all the time, it's a nice decorative piece. I'll probably find a shelf for it somewhere. I won't use it because I'm already used to my own system. I gotta make sure I put the food code booklet somewhere safe. So if anybody decides they want to use it, if my mom wants to use it, that she could use it. And that is my review of the Greater Goods Nutrition Food Scale. So I'll probably cut that up and make it into a standalone video so people can check it out if they want to check it out. But it was fun. I don't know, do I want to use this for a week and see how it goes? I was already raging trying to look up the tomatoes. We'll see what my mood is. I mean, these couple of weeks I've also been trying to get my routine back on track, and back on track is the whole, after I started the podcast, I tried to take a break on the workouts again because I just couldn't fit the schedule in. And perhaps it's, this time I chose to sacrifice the podcast schedule so that I can fit in my workouts. But yes, since last week, I'm back on normal working out, starting slow, putting the time in. And I think the big thing to me was I was really happy that I was able to get day one in, because day one was me eating 80% plus nutrient-rich whole foods. All my macros and micros were on point. I had 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I hit 10,000 steps, and I got the workout in. And that's what I've been kind of aiming for all this time, but I couldn't find the right mood for it. And by mood, it just means there's always something I really wanted to do, and there's just not enough time in the day. And so I end up sacrificing something, right? And then working out kind of became my go-to sacrifice thing. I'll never sacrifice my diet, but working out, okay, we can do that later, right? That kind of mentality. I think a big push was Diablo 4 came out. I played it on launch. I was there 7 a.m. in the morning, my time in Taiwan at launch. Played basically nonstop for the next couple of days. It launched on a Friday. No breaks all the way till Monday. It was just nice. Mommy and the kiddos had a trip with their friends, an overnight trip. So, it's the happy bachelor at home grinding away at Diablo 4. And the beginning was fun, finishing the campaign, leveling up and all that. Over time, it actually started to feel monotonous. And I don't know why. I love Diablo. I loved when the beta weekend came out. I couldn't get enough of it. But now the final game came out. The way the game works is as you get stronger, your enemies get stronger too. For whatever reason, as you get stronger, the enemies get stronger and your character feels weaker. And so that happens enough over time. I feel God damn, I'm putting all this time in. I'm feeling weaker. Every time I level up, I feel if I level up, the enemies also grow stronger and I'm not exponentially stronger. And I feel it's just this really uphill climb that just took away the fun. The fun was to, get a bunch of monsters and kill them all really, really quickly. But then what happens every time I level up is now I got to watch out that I don't get one shot or two shot by the enemies and just die right there. And I started dying a lot. Of course, yes, it could be a skill thing. Maybe I'm not playing it correctly. Maybe I'm just being too gung-ho and not being responsible with defense. But I would think most games I'm pretty good at finding that balance, having played games all my life and all that. And this one just didn't feel right. Like it just, after the 3 days of grinding, I felt more of not wanting to play than wanting to play. And it was also the same time Honkai Star Rail had a new patch. And that I was all over. I was so into it. I finished all the content within like a day, loved every moment of it, did not feel a moment of not wanting to play at all. Like after I finished all the content, I was like, I want more. Like this is fun. This is good. And from there, I realized that, man, okay, you know what? I probably don't really want to play Diablo. Like I'm done with Diablo for now. And because I'm done with Diablo, because I finished all the content in Honkai, I also picked up Nikke, Goddess of Victory, which I'll talk more another time. I promise you I'm playing it not because of the booba. The booba's nice and all, but it's actually a pretty decent game, and it's also a gacha game. With gacha games, there's a stuck point. Like you'll be stuck somewhere and then you have to wait for your daily energy or whatever to keep on playing. And so I'm at a stuck point for Nikke. I'm at a stuck point for Honkai. I don't want to play Diablo 4 anymore. And so guess what I got? I got more free time. I have more free time in my day, and I decided, you know what? If it's not now, it's going to be never. I'm going to end up finding something else to occupy my time. Before anything does, all the extra time, I'm really going to dedicate getting back onto working out. And that's where it started. That's where I felt like I have no more excuses. My priorities are going to shift now to try to get back into routine. Like I want my diet, my steps, my sleep, and the workout routine to be standard. It just needs to be standard. Doesn't matter what else I pursue in the future, but these things need to be standardized. And all this time since, content creation, since making all these videos or posts or letters on IG, maintaining my IG, working out has been in a back burner. And you've probably heard me talk about this in the past, and I admit it's something that I struggle with. I'll keep hopping on and off the train. But this time I feel it's more solid because I got everything I wanted to do out of the way in terms of gaming. I'm more comfortable now with delays in my content, like the podcast, or not before, I would try to force content out. But these days, the way I look at content is I don't want to force anything out that is content for the sake of content. Like I want my content to be a certain standard, right? Before it was post as much as possible, as often as possible. And now it's more like I only want to share something if I really have something to share. Like today is with the Greater Goods food scale. The recorded episode that I haven't released had some good points in it, like the KFC calorie reviews and also the Q&As at the end, which will be included in this episode, right? So I'll somehow edit this in a way where we're going to jump into the KFC section and then we're going to jump into the Q&A section. So if you hear me talking a little bit differently there, that's why. It's because that was recorded for another episode. But then everything else that you're hearing, like right now I'm talking and I'll make the ending for this later on, that's all now. Just to be completely transparent with you guys. I do want to make sure that I'm more responsible with my content, that it's not just for show, it's meaningful. The days of grinding content is gone, and now it's just the quality stuff that I should be focusing on. So yeah, that's been my past 2 to 3 weeks. So KFC. I think one of the things with KFC is that I think a lot of us that are more calorie conscious just assume it's going to be super high in calories, but that's actually not true. And I think most of us, if we go to KFC, we are eating the chicken, right? I don't know if you guys did this, but even before when I was morbidly obese, I would order the chicken breast, but I would take off the skin on top, even though that's absolutely the best part. And I did that for a long time when I was growing up, even though, of course, I don't think it helped me lose weight or anything. But now thinking back, it definitely saved calories because that skin in itself, the amount of oil it has is maybe easily 50 to 100 calories. So today when we're reviewing KFC calories, remember that, if you do take the skin off the chicken, it does make it a little bit less calories. And I would say you could easily just shave maybe 20% off. Yes, the skin is that caloric dense. And so I don't know about you guys, I never really enjoyed the burgers at KFC. I think I've tried them all. Like on top of my head, I remember the Zinger. I remember there's like a chicken burger, which is just like a chicken patty. I'm not really sure what it's called. It's very like the basic burgers. And then there's the wraps, right? Those are the three that I remember the most. And I remember eating it and just thinking it's okay. It's not the greatest, but more food, I'm not going to complain. So I think the burgers are roughly the same calories as like McDonald's burgers. So over here, the Zinger burger is about 420 calories. I would say that's kind of fair because a Zinger is a really thick piece of chicken, right? And they put all kinds of mayo in it. It's almost almost like a crispy KFC chicken, like crispy skin, but without bones. And then you put it in between two buns, put some sauce on it. 420 calories. I would say that's pretty fair. Like, let's check out how much protein it is. It's 25 protein. Oh, wow. I did not expect that. That's actually quite worth it. That's not bad at all. And from what I remember, a zinger is kind of filling, right? Because the meat is the lean meat. I think they use chicken breast or something. It's definitely not chicken thigh or like chicken wings. The burger's not small at all. It's not like a cheeseburger in McDonald's is I could easily eat two. A zinger is pretty fulfilling. I gotta check that out. Maybe one of these days I'll go order a zinger. Like, this has piqued my interest. These numbers are actually quite macro and calorie friendly. And so I'm looking at like the nutrition PDF file that you get from the official KFC. I'm not sure from which country this is from. It's updated to March 2023, so it's as up to date as it gets. But I'm not sure if the menu is gonna be the same worldwide. I know KFC menu tends to change. Only the chicken is somewhat similar in all countries. So there's this thing called the filet burger. I'm not sure what it is. Is that the chicken burger that I've been talking about? It doesn't seem like it though, because it's 455 calories, which means it's more than the zinger, but it also has 29.6 grams of protein. Man, I gotta say, the burgers in KFC really seem super worth it, because their protein count is so high and they're not that high in calories. Remember, a Big Mac is like 565 calories and I don't think you get that much protein, like 20 plus at most. So this is like 420 and you're getting, 25 to 30 grams of protein. Way more worth it. A kid's burger is 265 calories for 17.8 protein. Wow. So if you have two of the kids' burgers, that would be roughly 530 calories, so close to a Big Mac, but you would almost double the amount of protein because you would have about 36 grams of protein. You know what? I'm definitely, in the next couple of days, I think I'm going to go try out KFC. Or maybe during my Diablo 4 grind because, I want to eat easy food I could eat next to my computer. Probably just get a zinger or a kid's burger or something and see how it feels. Actually, no, I don't know if I want to do that because sometimes when I eat fast food, I don't feel the best like afterwards. And Diablo 4, if I want to aim for that first 1,000 players to reach level 100, I need to be in my tip-top shape health-wise as well. I need to feel good. It's going to be like an all-nighter. So maybe after that, maybe after the Diablo grind, I will try the KFC. But this looks really good. I'm actually quite excited. That's about it for the burgers. It doesn't really have anything about wraps here. So we jump down to the chicken. So the original skin chicken, which by the way, I like much more than the crispy. I don't know why. It's just the original tastes a lot better. Like the original you could use without any sauce and just, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to describe to you what KFC is like. And then if you eat the crispy one, I always feel I need a dipping sauce. I need the ketchup or I need the chili. I mean, which team are you? Are you original recipe or are you team crispy? Let me know in the comments below. But over here, original chicken, a drumstick is 175 calories. A thigh is 265 calories. A rib is 300 calories. And a wing is 180 calories. So I'm not sure what a rib is. And they also have this thing called a keel. Like, what's a keel? Oh, I just Googled it really quickly. A keel is basically what I thought was the chicken breast. I guess it's the leanest part of the chicken. The chicken keel is 270 calories, but it's also 28 grams of protein. And the chicken rib, which, let me look that up as well. I forgot what the chicken rib is like. Oh yes, chicken rib is what I used to call chicken breast. I thought chicken rib was chicken breast. It's, I guess, not the same thing. That's the one that I love the most every time I go to KFC, but I would take the top skin off, which is also the tastiest part. So over here, they say a chicken rib is 300 calories, the highest out of all parts of the chicken, but it has 31.5 grams of protein. That is amazing. That is a lot. And if you take the skin off, that means it's less than 300 calories. I want to say a lot less. Let's say maybe 250 to 260, which is very decent. So actually, this is the conclusion I'm going to come to. If you're going out for fast food, right? And you just, you have McDonald's, KFC, Taco Bell, or whatever it is, Moss Burger, whatever's near your area, and KFC is one of the choices, that's likely the better choice. For a full meal, you either go for 2-piece chicken or you go for a burger. And that will land you roughly at like 400 to 500 calories, but you're definitely hitting very close to 40-50 grams of protein, which is amazing, which is something you cannot get from any other types of fast food. It's just not really possible. Well, this has really opened my eyes on KFC. Here's the craziest part. I did track KFC when I was on my weight loss journey. In fact, I remember very vividly the first 2 months, I was still eating KFC. And at that time, I was living in Indonesia, right? I was still in Jakarta. So the KFC came with rice. Everything in Jakarta comes with rice. And I'd love to have like a 2-piece chicken and a rice, which now if I think back, that's probably 600 to 700 calories at most, which is pretty decent for just one meal. Like imagine I had that for 3 meals, 2-piece chicken and the nasi puti, the white rice. That would be 2,100 calories. That would still be a calorie deficit for me back then. So wow, I guess we learn something new all the time. And so we go on to the popcorn chicken. I remember in Jakarta, there was popcorn chicken there. I don't remember ever seeing it here in Taiwan. So depending on where you are, maybe there's popcorn chicken, maybe there isn't. When it was available, I gotta be honest, wasn't the biggest fan. Like I'd rather have a normal piece of KFC chicken, or I just go for McNuggets. Like these are my favorite like meat from fast food, chicken McNuggets or KFC buckets, the original one, not the crispy one. But either way, small popcorn chicken is 140 calories and the regular popcorn chicken is 290 calories. The regular popcorn chicken also is about 19.9 grams of protein, so I guess 20 grams of protein. It's not too bad. For that, you might as well go for like a chicken rib, right? That's, I don't know, it's like choices. Oh, and I gotta remind you, like if you're calorie counting, right? I think one thing that might confuse you if you're new to it is there's a huge difference between kilojoules and kcal. So kJ versus kcal. Those are just two different measurements. It's like inches and centimeters. It's like kilometers and miles. They both are talking about the same thing, but different units of measurement. And so don't look at a kJ and think it's calories because it's gonna really blow your mind. Like over here, the Zinger burger is 1,915 kilojoules. And you might think, oh my God, 1,900 calories? Like, no. It's 420 calories, but it's 1,915 kilojoules. So just, keep that in mind. Don't mix up the measurements and, give yourself a scare. It's like hopping on a scale and it says 220 and you just like jaw drop, 220 kilos? Like, no. It's 220 pounds. That's 100 kilos. It's still a lot, but it's nowhere near 220 kilograms. And so if we go to the fries, the regular fries in KFC is 270 calories. The large fries is 380. I truly feel this is like the place where we all mess up. It's the fries. The fries is what really makes us go overboard. Instead of a French fry, eat another piece of chicken. Whatever part, choose your favorite. Thigh, rib, keel, whatever it is. It's going to be similar calories, but way more protein, and you just get more benefits from it. Enjoyment will be roughly the same as well, right? Oh, and there's this one that I'm really interested in. It's the coleslaw. I really love the KFC coleslaw. So the regular coleslaw is 150 calories and the large coleslaw is 300 calories. Oh man, that's disappointing. That makes it not so worth it if, on a regular basis, it's not worth it. Once in a while, obviously, eat whatever you want, just account for it, but it's not something you want to have too often. It's like, 300 calories for a large coleslaw. You could make your own coleslaw at home, have it taste similarly, and really like make it 30 calories. Like that's the thing with coleslaw, right? Coleslaw is mainly cabbage, and cabbage is not that high in calories at all. I guess all the calories coming from the sauce, which is like mayo or whatever it is. Oh, that's disappointing. I thought their coleslaw would be a lot less calories. It's almost like basically the same as having a large fry. So make sure you keep that in mind when you're ordering the side dishes from KFC. And so apparently this PDF doesn't even have the crispy chicken calories. So we're stuck with the regular. So I'm sorry, y'all crispy fans. I can't do the breakdown for you here, but I would imagine it's similar. Like there's nothing wrong with you just tracking your crispy chicken using the original numbers. Like it's not going to be that far off. That's not going to be the reason you failed. It's definitely good enough numbers to use and make progress from. So don't sweat, just use the original numbers. And now we shall move on to Starbucks. I gotta say, there is one reason I really like Starbucks here in Taiwan. It's a very simple reason. It's because apparently majority of people here in Taiwan, their idea of good coffee is the more sour tasting coffee. That's just coffee I can't take. I really do not like it. I like bitter coffee a lot more. Sour coffee just, to me, tastes like there's something wrong, right? And respect to all of you that are sour coffee lovers, but it just really isn't for me. Like when I started to drink coffee, I think I was introduced with the bitter kind. And in the beginning, I was like, ew, this is so bitter. But over time, that bitter became joy. Like I really like the bitterness of coffee. And so far here in Taiwan, the easiest places to get bitter coffee, obviously not counting like, special cafes and all that, but the easiest places to get bitter coffee is either Starbucks or 7-Eleven. And so these are two places I visit a lot for my my coffee. And here's the funny thing. In Starbucks, I've noticed like this past 2 years, whenever you order your drink, whatever it is, they'll ask, do you want to use our special roast? It's like an extra 50 cents USD. And in the beginning, I'll be like, yeah, all right, let's go for something fancy. It's not a big deal. And then when it came out, it's like, oh, fuck, the special roast is sour. So for me, it's like, it was the most painful experience because I spent more money and just hated my drink. And of course, I'm not going to waste it. I still finished it, but still, it was the most uninspiring coffee I ever had that I still have that vivid memory in my mind. For me, coffee really just has a special place in my heart. It's really comfort food to me at this point in time. I don't really drink it to, feel more awake or any of that. I think I drink so much coffee that caffeine doesn't really hit me that way unless I'm having like a pre-workout and the caffeine dose is a lot higher. But like regular coffee, not so much at all. I could drink coffee and sleep then, next 5 minutes, no problem. I just remember in the very, very beginning of my weight loss journey, there was a period of time I was eating super clean because I thought it was what was required. And when I was eating super clean, the only thing that really had any taste was black coffee. And it just became this thing where every time I have black coffee, it's a taste of the world again. The world has a little bit of color rather than, the veggies, the chicken breast or whatnot. And so my go-to order every time I go to Starbucks is just an iced Americano. And if I'm feeling fancy, sometimes I'll get the cold brew, but a lot of times the cold brew is the sour one, so I don't really go for it there. Depending on how much coffee I've had in the day, I'll usually order a tall or a grande Americano and plus an extra shot. And that extra shot just gives me extra bitterness and it just tastes so good. So of course, let's go to the calories. Americano is basically black coffee. It's water and an espresso shot. And so water, 0 calories. Espresso shot, basically 0 calories. So the tall Americano is 10 calories. The grande Americano is 16 calories. The venti Americano is 21 calories. So if you're not adding like milk or sugar into your Americanos, just don't count it. It's not worth it. It's like, yeah, you're going to have 5 venti Americanos a day. That equals 100 calories. I think you got bigger problems to worry about than the calories of your Americanos at that point. I've found if you really enjoy sweet coffee, go and try using some artificial sweetener. In Americano, it tastes almost exactly the same as regular sugar, and that's just much more enjoyable for like no calories at all. And yes, I know there's the whole WHO like not recommending artificial sweeteners. I thought about deep diving and talking about that whole thing, but it's not worth it. It's a very nuanced thing that they did. So basically, the very lowdown is they cherry picked their evidence, right? They cherry picked their evidence and decided to make a statement for the whole world to read. And for the people that actually follow the evidence, like me or other people from the evidence-based community, we can see that there's a huge flaw on the papers that they were quoting. It was observational data. It wasn't concrete, like you shouldn't do this at all. You shouldn't use artificial sweetener at all. It wasn't as clear-cut as that. And it kind of just made me sad in a sense of, man, this is like a big authority figure that gives the world health advice. They were there giving COVID advice. They're giving all kinds of dietary advice. And now they're coming up with this, but they're not really backing themselves up with actual hard evidence. And this is evidence everybody can see and everybody has access to, right? You being an authority figure, you need to put more effort into the way you're portraying your message. The way they portray their message with artificial sweeteners is just downright false. It's just not true. But then people will think it's true because it came from them. It's just sad to me. I don't really want to give it any time of day. The thing that I will leave off on is just because somebody's an authority figure doesn't mean they can't be wrong. And like how many personal trainers out there that actually don't really understand nutrition at all? Or, how many doctors out there that will say completely a different thing than another doctor, which is why it's always important if you're going to a medical doctor that you get like a second or third opinion if your issue is serious. Because just because they have the name doctor beside their name doesn't mean they know everything, doesn't mean they're well versed in every part of medical science. It's like, you go to a heart surgeon and you're asking about brain surgery, they'll give you some kind of answer, but you probably want to go to a brain surgeon for brain issues, right? But, they're both doctors. I think sometimes it's really down to our own responsibility to do a little bit of critical thinking and vet out the information fed to us instead of just eating it spoon-fed. But yeah, going off on a tangent there. In any case, if you want to enjoy a nice coffee, you can absolutely use artificial sweeteners and it just adds no calories to your drink. The next drink is actually a drink I really love. It was probably my number one drink before I went on the weight loss journey and before I realized it's actually a lot of calories, and that is the cafe latte. My go-to drink was the cafe latte whole milk. For a while, I even did cafe latte with soya milk. It's such a funky taste, but it's really, really good. If you've never tried it, I highly recommend you try it at least once and go for the iced one. The iced one is what tastes really funky. Here, I also got the nutritional breakdown from the official Starbucks website. They broke it down into cafe latte with all the different types of milks. So let's start with the tall, right? The tall cafe latte with whole milk is 173 calories. If you use skimmed milk, it's 100 calories. That's a 70 calorie difference. That's pretty significant. So if you ask for skim milk for your latte, you're actually cutting a good almost 50% calories from your drink. And so that's definitely something to consider if you're somebody that needs that cafe latte. So cafe latte using soya milk, it's 117 calories for a tall. So still less than whole milk, a little bit more than skim milk. And they also have the very popular oat milk, which a lot of people think oat milk is less in calories. It's not that much less. So over here, the tall one is 160 calories. So it's not much different than the whole milk, right? Oat milk and whole milk, it's a 13 calorie difference. Not much different at all. If you enjoy whole milk more and you think oat milk is the thing helping you cut calories, you might as well just have the whole milk. Just enjoy the whole milk. But if you want to cut the calories, then go for skimmed or go for soya. Going through the venti, a cafe latte whole milk venti, the largest size, is 296 calories. So basically 300 calories. So you know how a lot of people will say like, oh, I didn't eat anything today, but I'm still gaining weight. I don't understand. When people say that, you ask them what they had. It's like, all I had was coffee latte and some cookies, nothing else. I had 2 cookies and a coffee latte. Well, if your coffee latte is venti, that's 300 calories right there. That is a KFC chicken right there. And depending on what cookie you had, each cookie might be 200 calories. So then, 200, 400 calories plus the venti coffee latte, that's 700 calories. You might as well have a zinger and fries. It's the same thing. It feels different. It feels like a lot less food, but it's the same amount of calories. And this is why I think it's really important to go through all these calories, because it just gives you a really good idea of the foods out there that are readily available to you. And I don't know if this is a normal thing or not, but people around me, nobody is as obsessed with calories as I am. And I'll use the word obsessed really freely because to me, it's not really caring about the digits. It's just, I really want to know. I really want to hack the calorie system, meaning like I want to know that, so I can get a really nice sweet tasting Americano and it's 0 calories. Oh my God, that's amazing. Like I want to know that that's possible, or that, a coffee latte skim milk is only 100 calories. I want to know all that so I could enjoy it completely guilt-free, knowing that, okay, it's not 200-300 calories. I could enjoy this just like maybe enjoying a mini chocolate bar. And all of that just helps me make better decisions. And to me, it's also fun. It's like really, really fun. I love it when I'm like going out with friends, especially with friends that probably like don't hang out with me that much. And, they'll ask about calories and I'll know the exact numbers of everything. And they're like, how the hell do you know all that? It's like, yeah, well, I count every day. I'm in my fitness pal. I'm in my Carbon app every day. I'm playing those apps like it's an accounting app tracking my finances. That's how much time I'm spending with all of these numbers. And so we went through cafe latte and we went through Americano. Next one is cappuccino. I won't go through a cappuccino because it's roughly the same as cafe latte. You also have all your choices of skim milk, whole milk, and all that. Then there's the espresso. So if you are curious on how many calories an espresso shot is, that number is 5. 5 calories for an espresso shot. Don't count your espresso shots. Just drink your espresso and enjoy it. Their freshly brewed coffee, their everyday coffee, which I enjoy if the beans that they're using is the bitter ones. The numbers are similar-ish to Americano. So their tall is 35 calories. Their grande is 47 calories. Their venti is 60 calories. Yeah, I'd still say don't bother tracking it. It's no big deal at all. Then you have the hot chocolates. The hot chocolates are the kiddos' favorite. I guess it's their favorite because that's the only drink they can drink at Starbucks, unless you go for like the secret menu, which I just can't be bothered remembering the names. A classic hot chocolate from Starbucks in whole milk. The tall size is 300 calories. Holy crap, it's 300 calories? Wow, okay. That's just tall, right? So if you get the venti one, 451 calories. That is exactly the same as a zinger. You might as well go eat a zinger. In my eyes, at least. Unless you really love chocolate. No disrespect respect there. If you really love chocolate, totally go for it. Usually what we get the kiddos is they'll get a tall hot chocolate and then just split it half-half. That to them is 150 calories each. Not a big deal for a little snack when they go out. Let's see, for the skimmed milk hot chocolate, it's 238 calories for the tall. So whole milk 294, skim milk 238. 50 calorie difference. Not a big difference. I would say for hot chocolate, it's different like compared to cafe latte. Cafe latte, going for skimmed milk does make a huge difference, whereas hot chocolate, it's not hardly as much. You might as well enjoy with the whole milk, unless, of course, you see no difference between skim milk and whole milk. Then, okay, go for the skim milk and you save 50 calories that you can spend elsewhere. And then, oh, they have hot white chocolate? I did not know that. I've never ordered it or seen it on a menu, or perhaps this PDF is not from Asia. I've never seen that at all. And let me see, the calories, yep, roughly the same as normal hot chocolate, so we won't go through that. Then there's mocha. Mocha was one of my favorite drinks also during my cafe latte days. So a mocha tall is 265 calories. A mocha skim milk is 223 calories. Okay, so this is the same vibes as the hot chocolate. The calories is mainly in the chocolate, not the milk, right? Which is the other way around with the cafe latte. The coffee in the cafe latte doesn't have any calories. It's mainly the milk. So when you change the milk type, there becomes a big difference. But here, mocha and hot chocolate, it's the chocolate that's really caloric dense. Changing the milk isn't changing the chocolate, so not much difference there. Venti mocha whole milk is 400 calories. That's less than the venti hot chocolate, which is understandable because mocha is hot chocolate plus coffee, right? Like I remember, seeing those signs about all the different kinds of coffee. Like Americano is 50 water, 50 espresso shot. Cafe misto is something. Cafe latte is 50% milk, 50% coffee. And then there's cappuccino, which is a different percentage. Like I always thought like those posters are like really fun. And I always wanted to get one, but just never really took the time to. I have no coffee machine at home. Like I literally buy the UCC coffee that you always see me take pictures of because it's just easy. My parents used to have a coffee machine, like those Nespressos where you put in the capsules and all that. And I found that to be too long. Like, hey man, I want coffee. I want it now. And I don't have the time to put in this thing and then clean it and then put a cup there, let it drip slowly. It's like, no. I want my coffee now. And so UCC has been the closest thing because all I have to do was open a bottle and I got fresh coffee. Not the best coffee in the world, but passable for what I need. Oh, and of course, we got to get through the one that many love. Mommy loves this one, but unfortunately, every time she drinks it, she feels sick. And so it's this really hard dichotomy of, oh, I really want this drink, but after I drink it, I know I'm not going to feel good at all. It's always that struggle when we go to a Starbucks, and the drink I'm talking about is the matcha green tea latte. I used to really love it too, and looking at the calories here, it's actually a lot lower than I thought. I thought it would be closer to a cafe latte type of calories, but it's actually less. Quite significantly less, actually. So a tall matcha green tea latte is 77 calories. Oh, I understand. The matcha green tea latte, if I'm not mistaken, it includes 2 to 3 pumps of the sugar thing or the syrup thing that they have, right? Because I remember back then when I used to order it, I would tell them 1 pump because I don't like things too sweet. This is like, even when I was like super obese, I didn't like things that sweet. So I'd ask for 1 pump. And I think this calorie chart is 0 pumps. So if you add any pumps of sugar, you got to add those calories accordingly. A tall matcha green tea latte with skimmed milk is 77 calories. It's definitely not 77 with the syrup. Definitely not. So tall skimmed milk is 77 calories. Tall whole milk is 132. So it's not really that bad at all. But I also know that if you don't use any sugar or any sweetener, it doesn't taste that great. Or maybe it's a preference thing. Maybe you love matcha and everything's good to you. Maybe, but in my recollection, without the sweetness, it's just a weird bitter milk, right? I can't remember the last time I had matcha latte. It must be like 10 years ago. But yeah, alone, even with whole milk, it's not that high in calories at all. The venti is only 241 calories. So not enough for a zinger. But if it's something you enjoy, could be considered pretty calorie friendly. Then there's all kinds of tea, right? Earl Grey, English breakfast, whatever tea they have in Starbucks. And they're all really just 0 calories unless you're adding syrup. And so that's something to take note of. If you're just having plain tea, don't bother tracking. Not a big deal. Enjoy your tea. enjoy your day. That basically wraps up the Starbucks menu. They also had a food menu on the website, but I didn't want to go through the food menu because so far in my experience, right, having Taiwan and Singapore and Jakarta and Japan and Korea, the places that I've been to in the past, 5 to 8 years, every Starbucks has different food. Like, there's no same food in any Starbucks. So I think going through food would be kind of meaningless because it's likely we're all from different places. If you're listening to this, we're all from different places, and it's likely we won't have the same food in our Starbucks. And so that wraps it up for the Starbucks breakdown. Finally, we are going to go through more questions in the 2018 ebook that I made. I think this is the most joyous part of the podcast for me for the past 3 episodes. It's just fun going down memory lane, remembering, oh yeah, somebody asked this question, and looking at my answer back then and seeing if, there's any changes in my answer or in the way I see things nowadays. And so continuing on from the last episode, this question is, hello, do you recommend water fasting and how do you do it? And my answer was, I'm sorry, I absolutely do not recommend it. And my answer today is the same. I do not recommend water fasting at all. I mean, I've tried it. If you're curious, I would say go and try it. Go try a 1-2 day water fast. Like, don't do it crazy, like 7 days or whatever, because that goes into like potential health issues territory. Like, don't go there, but do it 1 to 2 days, not a big deal, and you'll see how it feels. You'll very likely see the weight on the scale go down, and the moment you start eating normally again, it comes back up. And so there's no point of water fasting. Water fasting is wasting time. If you instead just figured out your diet and ate normally and tried to be as consistent as possible for the next 3 to 4 months, you would have sustainable results. Water fasting does not give you sustainable results, so it is highly not recommended at all. But of course, if you're doing it for other reasons, religious reasons or whatnot, I mean, totally respect to that. That has nothing to do with fat loss. That's just doing it for another reason. Totally go for it. I really do have no comment on that part. Next one is, what is your view on intermittent fasting? Do you recommend it? I think I answered something similar in one of the last ones, so I'll give a quick answer this time. I think intermittent fasting is great. I love it, but it's also not for everybody. And so the people that I would recommend it to is, number one, you have to be okay with being hungry. You're going to be hungry throughout the day. If you're okay with that, you don't really struggle with that, try it out. If you're somebody that really struggles with hunger and like cravings and it just gets you out of control, you're always battling it, I do not recommend it because intermittent fasting is going to make it worse. And if you don't know if you're somebody that can handle the hunger or not, try it. Try it out for 2 to 3 weeks. Try the very basic 16-8. Try it out for 2 to 3 weeks. See how you feel. See if you need to make adjustments and whether this is for you or not. I think there is no diet in this world where I just recommend blindly or recommend universally because everybody's different. It's really all preference based. And even if I say, oh, if you're this type of person, you might suit it, it's really just a suggestion. For you to really know if a diet suits you or not, you just have to try it out. And you have to try it out for a meaningful amount of time, right? Don't just try it out for 2 to 3 days and be like, oh, nope, I don't like it. Or you try it out for 2 or 3 days and it's like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever. Like you're not going to know in 2 or 3 days. 2-3 weeks, minimum 2-3 weeks. And you got to be consistent 100% in those 2-3 weeks to know whether you like it or not. Wow, this next question actually has to do with intermittent fasting. So it says, if I feel hungry during a fast, still have a couple of hours before the fast finishes, which is better? Should I eat or ignore it and keep going? I think both ways are fine. There's no correct answer. Like if you're really hungry and it's just like that one off day, just eat and account for it. Because remember, the fast itself is not what's causing you to lose weight. Losing weight is because in total, you're eating less calories than you expend because in total of the calories that you're eating, you're in a calorie deficit. Nothing to do with the amount of time that you are fasting. And so I guess the answer is do whatever helps you keep consistent. If you're really way too hungry, you just need something to help you stabilize, eat something. No big deal. If you feel, oh, okay, it's kind of uncomfortable, I can push on though, then push on. No reason to give in to a little bit of discomfort. So it's really a push and pull from yourself and only yourself know what the better solution is. For me, when I was on strict intermittent fasting, there was plenty of days where I just really wanted to break fast earlier and I did. It's usually like 1-2 hours earlier. It wasn't an everyday thing. It was usually days that I didn't get enough sleep and I just end up tremendously hungry, but there was still 1-2 hours before my fast ends. I just go ahead and just start my eating period early. But at the end of the day, I'm still eating the same amount of calories, so my results didn't really change much at all. So I'd recommend, experiment, see what works for you and what doesn't. Next one is, another intermittent fasting one, more specific too. What should a meal contain to break fast and get better fat loss results? My answer is actually peculiar. So I answered it back then. Some protein, greens, and carbs, fats of your choice. No meal will give you faster fat loss. That's dependent on how big your calorie deficit is. For better results, as in feeling good, feeling nourished, try to aim for a 80-20, 80% nutrient-rich foods, 20% whatever you want. Okay. Wow, I actually didn't answer this question back then. Wow, bad me. Thumbs down to 2018 me. The question is, what should a meal contain to break a fast and get better fat loss results? I think the way to answer this question is, number one, there is no meal, there is no specific food you need to break fast. Like breaking fast isn't like, if you break it with carbs, you will feel a lot better compared to protein or fats. There's no such thing. You just break fast with whatever you want. I mean, sometimes maybe it's a chocolate bar because you're on the road. It's really no big deal at all. Breaking your fast isn't some sacred time where, finally you're giving your body food again. It's just treat it as a normal meal and don't overthink it at all. Whatever you break your fast with, whatever type of food, whatever meal, none of it is going to get you better fat loss results, because that's not where fat loss results come from. Fat loss results come from your overall diet, meaning if you're in a consistent calorie deficit, that's where your fat loss results come from, not from how or what you break fast with. That's the much better answer. Okay, so this is the first question in this ebook where my answer is totally different. I don't feel my 2018 me was wrong. I just felt like you missed the question. Like that's not what the question was asking, and I'm giving this like almost like an AI answer. Okay, so on to the next one. How can I do strength workout without going to the gym and only at home? So strength workout doesn't mean you need fancy equipment, right? You could get weights from at home using water bottles, fill it up with sand or, books in a bag, or you can just do none of that and do completely body weight training, push-ups, pull-ups, L-sits, sit-ups, squats. All of these are strength training, resistance training. Anything that has weight resisting you, including your own body, is considered strength training. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, like how could you strength train at home, having a home gym and all that, there's actually a podcast episode I made specifically on that. I think it's one of the earlier episodes. You can go check it out. TLDR, it's getting a set of adjustable dumbbells at home plus a workout bench. You basically have like a full gym at home. You can do exercise for every body part possible with 2 adjustable dumbbells and a workout bench. Anything more than that is a luxury. It's not a necessity at all. And so that's something to consider if you want to work out at home and not the gym, but also want to have access to working out every body part without just using body weight. This final question is, in order to lose my tummy, what should I eat and do? Chicken breast and broccoli? Is white rice recommended? It's like, okay, number one, it is not possible to lose weight in a specific body part. Like it's not possible to target it. Like you can't be like, all right, I only want to lose tummy fat. How do I do that? There's no such thing. The only way to lose tummy fat is to lose overall fat, because that's the only thing you can control. And you do that by eating at a calorie deficit consistently. You will lose overall fat. Losing overall fat will eventually hit your target. Your tummy will eventually get smaller as your whole body gets smaller. The question says, what should I eat and do? Chicken breast and broccoli? Is white rice recommended? I guess it's questions like this that I made my free fat loss guide, because this basically, that guide just tells you what to eat, what to do, what foods are okay, what foods are not okay. And basically no foods are not okay. What matters is that you're in control with the amount of food that you're eating calorie wise in the long term. And as long as you do that, there's no can or cannots in terms of foods you can and cannot eat in order to lose weight. Yeah, I hope that made sense. I was going to give a longer answer, but I realized that's the reason I made the free fat loss guide. It's so I could point at that and be like, look, just go there instead of me regurgitating everything again and again and again. So that brings it to the end of the episode. Like, I really want to try a weekly episode, but at this point, I'm not going to promise anything. I'm just going to promise that this season 6 isn't going to die. We're going to keep going. I'm going to try really hard to be as consistent as possible. But as you see, the last one, we had a 2 to 4 week break depending on when this episode actually airs. But that's my current plans. The weekly letters is still unaffected. The daily Q&A is still unaffected. And I think that's important too, that, we still get to talk to each other on a regular basis. And this more long form content, this podcast, it'll come and go. No, wait. Come and go is not a good word. It'll keep coming, just on an irregular schedule. So yeah, hope this was enjoyable. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.